Welcome back friends to the Department of Physics, Sri Shivaji Education Society, Amravati Science College, Nagpur. In this quarter, we are going to deal with time-varying fields. In fact, we are going to deal with the fields which are going to change with time. Here in time-varying fields, we are going to deal with the electromagnetic induction, Faraday's law, in differential and integral form. Despite defining it, we are going to derive the differential and integral form of it. Lenz's law, self and mutual induction, transformer, construction and working and its parameters, energy losses. Then we are going to deal with electric currents, electric current density, continuity equation, which is very important in this quarter, and Kirchhoff's law everyone knows. Then we are going to deal with rise and decay of currents in LRCR and LCR circuits. Here in university has referred a couple of books. The cited one I would like to mention Brijlal and Subramanian and David Griffith's book, then Ryder's book. Now let's begin our discussion with the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Whenever the number of magnetic lines of induction or magnetic flux through a circuit changes, an induced EMF is produced in the circuit. This is what is the statement of Faraday's law is. Herein, I would like to introduce you with a fundamental experiment that you must have done in your school time. We have some iron dust suspended in the fluid and it can freely move inside the fluid. Now when we bring that in contact with a bar magnet, which is N and S pole, you can find some alignment in a peculiar way. This is because of the flux which are behaving in a particular way. The magnetic flux normally start from N pole and they terminate on S pole. They travel outside the body of the magnet, and here you can see the blue lines with an arrow over it indicating the flow of the magnetic lines of flux, which we are going to call in terms of phi. Now at the point near N pole or S pole, you can find the higher density of these lines indicating higher magnetic field in fact. And here you can see a circle. It is appearing ellipse here, but it is a circular area which you can consider to be 1 meter square, and the number of lines crossing this is 2. So here you can see 4 lines are cutting the same area, which I am calling unit area. So number of lines of flux per unit cross-sectional area, we define density of flux, rather magnetic flux density. Now here you can see 2 poles N and S. This can be electromagnet in fact, and magnetic lines of force, they start from N pole and terminate upon S pole. So here you can see that these lines are not diverging out like happening here. These 3-4 lines are diverging out, and in case of this situation where we have 2 poles and we are considering magnetic field between these 2 poles, and here you can see the lines of force, they are nicely uniformly placed parallel to each other, starting from N pole and terminating upon S pole, and you can consider unit area. This rectangle we can consider 1 meter square, and number of lines cutting that unit area, unit cross-sectional area, that we are calling density of flux, and it is fairly uniform in the region of our interest. Now, magnetic flux density I would like to define at this point of time. It is a vector quantity. Here you can see that there is a direction associated which is starting from N pole and terminating upon S pole. So, magnetic flux density is a vector quantity measuring the strength and the direction of magnetic field around the bar magnet or electromagnet. Magnetic flux density is equal to magnetic field strength times magnetic permeability in the region in which the field is existing. So here we have a simple relation. You must have encountered this relation in your +2 examination, wherein magnetic flux density is being represented by letter capital B bar. The bold letter is indicating the vector notion, and H bar is the magnetic field intensity, and mu0 is called permeability for free space. Now phi is flux, and this flux is equal to B bar dot ds bar. We are all the way talking about magnetic flux cut by the unit cross-sectional area. Every time it is not possible that we have cross-sectional area. In case it is not cross-sectional, the care is taken by the cosine component which we represent in terms of dot product. Now the variation d phi, that is the change in flux or the small amount of flux cut by the infinitesimal small area, and that area is associated with the direction perpendicular to the surface, that is d phi is equal to B bar dot ds bar. Now if you like to find the complete flux in the given cutting the given surface, then you have to integrate. Integration d phi will be phi, and integration B bar dot ds bar is to be performed on the surface, and surface has 2 dimensions normally, which are here accounted through double integration. So here this is the contour surface, which is made of elemental surface regions, and the direction associated is normal to the surface. You have to consider all the way, and in situations where it is not, then cosine component is taking care of that, which is in fact accounted in the dot product, and the flux are indicated by these blue arrows present in the diagram. When we are making discussion which is not in terms of vector quantities, always we are talking in terms of scalar, then magnetic field strength is flux density, and flux per unit area we define as flux density. So B, scalar quantity I am talking, B is equal to phi upon A, where B is the flux density and A is area. Both the quantities I am talking scalar, phi is the flux. So phi we can write B into A. Whenever the number of magnetic lines of induction or magnetic flux phi through a circuit changes, an induced EMF E is produced in the circuit. The magnitude of the induced EMF is proportional to the rate of change of flux, and it lasts so long as the changes continue. When the changes are not linked, when the linkage is not there or linkage is there and changes are not there, in that situation induced EMF is not present. This is called as Faraday's law. And if d phi is the change in the flux that is occurring in time dt, then d phi by dt will represent the rate of change of flux, and induced EMF according to Faraday's law is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux. This is what is the basic Faraday's law is. Now it is supplemented by another law which is known in the literature as Lenz's law, and according to Lenz's law, the induced EMF opposes the cause that it produces. So if EMF is produced because of some rate of change, then the induced EMF opposes that cause which is occurring in the time frame, and that is what is Lenz's law. As the cause of induced EMF is change in the magnetic field or flux, which opposes the cause it produces, this is accounted in our equation in terms of a negative sign, and that makes a complete law, which is combination of Faraday's law, basic Faraday's law, and Lenz's law. Mathematically we write E equal to minus K times d phi by dt. Here proportionality sign is replaced by equality sign by introducing a constant K, and minus sign is yield of Lenz's law. Here K is the constant of proportionality, and in System International it is unity. That is, in MKS system it is unity. Therefore, the Faraday's law in combination with Lenz's law, a complete Faraday's law, I can say E is equal to minus d phi by dt. Thus, E equal to minus d phi by dt is known as the differential form of Faraday's law. The induced electromotive force in any closed circuit is equal to negative of the time rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit.